I guess maybe I should do a little clap to sync everything up. I don't know. It's probably good enough. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Film Fanatic. It's a great day. I just found this hat. It's my favorite hat. It's been lost for a while, and just found it. So that's a good start to the day, I guess. This is a little different of an episode. I guess normally I'm doing reviews, and I would say that this qualifies more as a rant. And this rant is all about the Cloverfield Paradox. I'd like to start with a little backstory. Cloverfield has played a big part in my life, as I saw the original film when it came out in theaters back in January 2008. It seems like decades ago now. Well, I guess it was a decade ago, so that would probably explain why it feels that way. Anyway, I was probably 10 years old, and I had never seen a found footage movie before. I had never seen The Blair Witch. I didn't even have that much movie-going experience yet. I was only 10. I was only 10 years old. So I was so impressed by this original movie, and by no means is it the greatest movie ever made. I can admit that, but that movie was the film that made me want to get into filmmaking. And so Cloverfield, the whole franchise, has a very special place in my heart. And so when I saw that 10 Cloverfield Lane was coming out, I was shocked, and I was concerned, understandably, because I thought, how could they make another Cloverfield film? It seems like the ending of the original was pretty final. I was a little bit concerned, but when it came out, I was pleasantly surprised by the feel, and the writing was fantastic. John Goodman was great. Mary Elizabeth Winstead is my girl. I love her, but she did a great job, and I just thought it was a really good movie, actually a million times better than the original Cloverfield. And but I was still confused when that movie ended. I don't understand how this ties in. It seems like nobody really understands how this ties in. I don't even think J.J. Abrams knew how it tied in. And that, I think, is partly because it was originally not even supposed to be a Cloverfield movie. It was originally called The Cellar, I believe, and it had nothing to do with Cloverfield. But some Hollywood stuff happened, and it became part of the Cloverfield universe, which I was fine with, and I actually enjoyed the ambiguity of the whole thing. I didn't feel that it really needed an explanation. If this is all happening in separate universes, just loosely connected by the word Cloverfield, you know what? I was going to be fine with that. I liked the vibe of the two movies, and then I heard about God Particle, and I was like, really though? Really, what's this shit? Because I saw that it was supposed to be a part of this big Cloverfield universe, but I was a little bit confused how it could even tie in, why it didn't have Cloverfield in the title, because that seemed to me like a necessity. This movie was kind of going through development hell for a while. There was it had a release date, and then it didn't have a release date, and then it had a release date, and that release date was pushed back, and it seemed really convoluted, and like a lot of things were going wrong. And this is another film that initially was not supposed to be part of the Cloverfield universe, but through some Hollywood magic and money, it became part of the Cloverfield universe. So I think that's part of it. But anyway, I haven't even gotten to the main points I want to make yet. So I watched this movie the other night with my roommate, and we... I don't have many good things to say about it, which is disappointing, because as I said, the Cloverfield films have a very special place in my heart. So to see the franchise kind of going downhill, it's the thing that I've been fearing since I heard that 10 Cloverfield Lane was even coming out. But that movie defied my expectations, and I was actually very, very pleasantly surprised. But yeah, this movie is not good. It's not a good movie, and that's really disappointing to me. It has some good things going for it. The acting's fine. You can tell that these actors are doing the best with what they were given, but the writing is fucking awful. The writing is just god-awful. They could have called it Exposition the Movie, and it still would have been the same thing. There's so many lines in this movie that just are literally... Quite literally, I keep shaking this table, and I think it's because I'm too close, and that's really distracting me, but there's so many lines in this movie that are actually spoon-feeding information to you. I think there was a line right at the beginning, and my roommate and I kind of looked at each other like, ooh, this could be bad. Because I think the main character says something along the lines of like the entire plot of the movie in one sentence. Our kids died in a fire. The world is in an energy crisis. I'm going to have to go to space and fix the whole thing in a space station, but it'll probably go wrong. That was like an actual line. And I was like, oh, that's not good. That's not a good sign. It just felt like this movie was just a jumble of all these almost good ideas, and I don't really know what got changed to make it fit into the Cloverfield universe. I'm not sure what was part of the original and what became part of this movie after the Cloverfield tie-ins became a factor, but it's just not good. It felt very lazy to me. The idea of and I guess spoiler alert. I don't know. If you're watching this, you should be not watching. The idea to me was, or I guess what annoys me a lot is that it felt like they took an hour and 40 minutes to give an explanation to the Cloverfield movies that could have been given in 2 minutes. This space station, they're firing some particle fucking thing. I don't even know. It's not scientifically accurate anyway, so who cares? They're firing some particle manipulator beam into the Earth to give it an endless supply of power, and some guy comes on a screen down on Earth who's like, "No! If you fire that beam too many times, you'll literally release monsters from other dimensions. Like real monsters that could come up from the ocean, like in the first Cloverfield movie, coincidentally. Not that I know anything about that, because that's a movie that doesn't exist in this timeline. But that could happen." And it just felt, it's all so exposition heavy and badly written. I was just I couldn't wrap my head around it. How they could go from 10 Cloverfield Lane that is so tense and the dialogue is so good to this shit, this steaming pile of shit of a movie. And I don't even know. I wanted to give it a chance. I was trying to give it a chance. Every time something stupid happened, I was like, hey, it could get better. But here I was at the last 5 minutes, and I was still going, well, it's probably not going to get better. If we're here at this point and it's not good, it's probably not going to get better. Like I said, the acting was fine. The cinematography was actually really good. The special effects were great. There were some really cool set pieces in this movie that I was I was very impressed by. But the story was just so fucking lazy. This idea of, oh, we tore a hole in like the fabric of space-time, so now all these dimensions, there's apparently an unlimited amount of dimensions, but the movie never mentions that. The movie never specifically says that. And so I guess the implication is, the reasoning behind all the other things happening in the Cloverfield movies is that the events of this space station's mistake is the reason that everything's happening in the other Cloverfield movies. And to me, that's just, yeah, it works, but it's just kind of lazy. I just think it's kind of lazy. I think it's a cop-out. And it's so lazy that it makes me go, was it even necessary? Because I actually liked the ambiguity of the whole franchise. And I think there never needed to be an explanation. I think it was fun to leave everything up to our imaginations, and instead they tried to give us this very haphazardly constructed reasoning for everything, and it just felt unnecessary. I don't know, and I think I talked to my roommate about this as well. A bad movie is a bad movie, and I can accept when a movie's just plain bad. If there's been a movie that's going to come out, Blockers with John Cena. That's going to be bad. Just saying. But if there's a movie that's coming out that I know is going to be bad, you can just tell it's going to be bad. Yeah, that's fine. And I go and see it and it's bad. I'm like, yeah, that's what I expected. But a movie that you have all these high expectations for, and that should by all means be good, and it ends up being bad, just leaves you with a bad taste in your mouth. It just kind of sucks. And I guess that's really all I have to say. The Cloverfield Paradox, if I had to rate it, the acting, they did what they could with it. These actors did. They're not bad actors by any means. They did what they could. The cinematography had a lot. Had a lot of good aspects to it. It wasn't perfect, but there was a lot of good cinematography and set pieces. Sound design and sound editing was actually quite good. It was just the story and the writing and the idea that if we throw in the original Cloverfield monster at the very end, everyone's going to like it. That didn't work for me. I wanted to see the monster the whole movie, and then you throw him in the last 5 seconds? You've crushed me. You've crushed my hopes. Anyway, yeah, if I had to rate the movie, I'd give it a solid 6 out of 10. It wasn't the worst movie I've ever seen. It had some some good aspects to it, but the story was just very fucking lazy. And yeah, the story was just lazy, just not good, and could have been very good, but it wasn't. They failed. But there's the next Cloverfield installment is apparently called Overlord, and it supposedly is coming out in October, and it's about World War II paratroopers fighting supernatural zombies. And you know what? I'll give that one a chance, because it's written by the guy who wrote The Revenant. Can't be all bad. So hopefully the Cloverfield franchise will redeem itself come this October, but for the time being, the Cloverfield Paradox gets a 6 out of 10 from me. Not very good. Not a very good movie. If you want to follow me on Instagram or Twitter, you can do that down here, wherever I've placed my Instagram and Twitter accounts. You can go ahead and do that. And I guess that's all I really have to say for this one, guys. Until next time, peace. Be good to each other. Love each other. There's not enough love in the world. Unless you're trying to love the Cloverfield Paradox, because you're just not going to. That doesn't deserve your love. But be good to each other. See ya.